Roxo Media House.
I think it's good to not just have one or two, main guys. We got 5, 6, 7 guys that can all step up and lead, and everybody will shut up and listen to. And I think it helps. So it makes a difference.
Practice 10 for Sonny Dykes' team at the Morris practice field today after a day off. How do they react? We find out next.
This is Frogs Today Daily. Frogs Fall Camp 2022 presented by Dave's Hot Chicken. And here's your host, the voice of the Horned Frogs, Brian Estridge.
Welcome into Fort Worth today. It is Frogs Today Daily, the weekend edition, presented by our friends at Dave's Hot Chicken. I'm Brian Estridge, and boy, do we have a Saturday lineup for you today. The head coach, Sonny Dykes, is going to be live in the interview room here shortly. We'll go to him. Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator for the Frogs, will be by here in just a couple of minutes. We'll talk about the quarterback situation, also some questions at running back that we'll get into with Garrett Riley. Jamie Plunkett's alongside, reacting to what Coach Dykes has to say about the two-deep today. And Coach David Beaudin taking a look at preparation for this team that's led to, a fairly healthy fall camp. We'll talk about that later on as well. So as you can see, we got a stacked lineup for you, but we start the show with a look at some sights and sounds from week 2 of the Frogs fall camp here at the Morris practice field. So we do that right now.
I get it.
Sights and sounds from practice number 10. There's the Horned Frogs off the practice field now here at the Morris practice fields. Hey, live right now is Coach Sonny Dykes. He is in the interview room addressing the media. Let's listen in to the head coach, an exclusive here for Frogs Today Daily.
I thought it was good. I thought it was competitive, and, I thought a couple things that we wanted to see, we got a chance to see. We got a chance to correct some stuff. We had officials here. So had some corrections based on, penalties called, a lot of teaching opportunities. Thought, we came out, we practiced hard. It was, fourth practice in a row, and I think we lost our legs a little bit, but thought they grinded through it, thought we got better, thought it was good and competitive, and, thought we got what we needed to out of it. Yeah, very much so. I thought today was really good. Look, I'm always worried about off days, and when you give a team an off day, a lot of times they come back and they're sluggish the next day. I told the guys after practice, I was really impressed with the way that they bounced back off of having yesterday off and really had one of our best practices of fall camp today, if not the best. And so, that's unusual to have that practice 10. So I was really encouraged by the work ethic and, the way the guys practiced and just, from the very beginning. I was really impressed. It was very competitive. Guys were playing faster. You can see that they're starting to understand things. So I was really happy. Guys that you've been waiting for them to start to make plays are starting to make plays. Savion Williams is one that comes to mind in particular. I think the last 3 or 4 practices, he's really practiced at the level that we need him to play at. So I've been impressed with that. Bud Clark's been a guy that's been incredibly consistent, made a ton of plays. And, it's just good to see competitive, teams go at it and guys that are competing for spots. We got a lot of depth. That's the one thing I like about this team is that there's enough depth. You may have been a starter around here for a couple of years, but someone's, likely pushing you for your job, and that's what you want. So some of these veterans that have started a lot of games are getting pushed not only by young guys, but sometimes transfers. And so that makes everybody better, and I'm encouraged by that. I think it's kind of been back and forth a little bit. I think, I was thinking about it last night. I remember when Steve Spurrier was at Florida, they went every play, and just substituted every play. And so we got 3 quarterbacks. It'd be kind of fun to just, run one of them out there and another one and just have 3 of them. So, we'll kind of see how it plays out. Yeah, give them to play on the sideline. That's right, and have them, run it in. That way you don't have to do signals and all that. Look, I feel good about that position. That's the bottom line, and I think all the guys have improved. I mean, obviously, Sam to me has made the biggest jump just because, he just hadn't had a lot of reps, and so he's a guy that, every day we go out there just gets a little better. Just gets a little more comfortable in the pocket, makes a little better decisions. And so, the other 2 guys have been back and forth and up and down. The good thing is I think that there's been much more up. I'm starting to see more consistency from that group overall. And I thought today was one of the better days we've had at the quarterback position. So, we'll go in and look at the tape and just kind of keep looking at it. But, I think everybody around here is comfortable with the guys we have, and I don't think anybody really cares that much who the starting quarterback is. Certainly, I don't think the players do. And so we'll kind of see how it plays out. And like I said, I mean, it's like every other position on our team. If you feel good about 2 guys, that's a good thing. I think we'd like to have a starter that plays every play, but, if we play one play at a time, then that's what we'll do. Good. I mean, I think they're very, very good. I think they have a lot of upside. Again, you've got some guys that have, been good players around here in the past, and some of those guys have had ups and downs and injuries and that kind of thing. But the talent level is really good. I think the accountability is much improved and where we want it. I think the guys are getting much more coachable and listening and responding to criticism better. And so I think as a result, there's been a ton of improvement. And so, and there's competition. I think at the end of the day, that's what's happened probably is some of the guys that have been starters around here for a long time have seen these other guys start to push them and challenge them a little bit. And instead of getting settled in and kind of going through the motions, all of a sudden, they better come ready to practice every day. And so that's happening. And when that happens, it elevates the entire group. And that's what I like. And those guys are all athletic. They all can run. I'm encouraged by that group every day in practice. I think they literally get better every day. And then we're starting to get some of those young guys are starting to come on and push them as well. So that's encouraging. Well, we just got to get, our execution cleaned up. That's the biggest thing. I think that's the thing that the scrimmage, opened everybody's eyes as far as that's concerned, because there's nowhere to hide, when you're out there scrimmaging. And you've got to, you got to make sure that you're doing the little things correct, whether it's, lining up properly, offensively and defensively, making sure that you're in the right spot. All those things are important. And so when you get out there and you start playing and you're on the 12th play of a drive, you start to get a little tired, and that's when you need to learn how to really focus in and pay attention and be accountable. And I think we're still learning that. And I think it was good for us to get out and have that scrimmage. And it was good for our players to realize, look, we're not anywhere close to where we need to be yet. We've had some flashes of good things, but a lot of work needs to be done, and I think that's what scrimmaging does for you. Yeah, I mean, look, here's the bottom line. If you're, if you want to get on the plane to go to Boulder, you better play on teams. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so, there's a lot of guys, I think, that realize they're kind of on that bubble between, 50 and 75, and you want to get on that bus to go. You better be on teams. You better be good on teams. And there's a lot of athletic guys in this program, and so as a result, there's a lot of competition for those special team spots. So, the effort's been good. We're still, cleaning up some execution type things. We're trying to get some young guys in there. Then you have growing pains sometimes when you do that, but but I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far.
That's the head coach of the Horned Frogs, Sonny Dykes. Still to come, Garrett Riley, the Frog offensive coordinator, is going to join us. But first, Jamie Plunkett, we go back to the interview and we'll react to what the head coach had to say. We'll do that after we do this.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com. Welcome back into the Morris practice fields here in Fort Worth. As you just heard from Sonny Dykes, the head coach. Joining us now is Jamie Plunkett. You were in that interview room. By the way, you can follow Jamie at frogstoday.com. You can see all of his stuff there. He's going to give you daily practice reports, among other things. All right, give me some sense now. He talked about 2 guys in particular, one on offense, one on defense. He's not saying they were the only ones who had good days. He just wanted to highlight them, huh?
Yeah, he really made he was intentional about shouting out Savion Williams, especially saying that the wide receiver has had a really good last 3 or 4 practices and that he's starting to play like the player they need him to be, which is really cool. You know, and you've started to see some highlights of Savion on their Twitter account too, as they're posting out those daily things, which is really neat to see. But that's something that TCU was lacking last year, was another big-framed wide receiver that could go out and make plays opposite of Quentin Johnston. And it seems like over the last week, Savion has started to do that.
Defensively, Bud Clark was a guy that he wanted to point out. Bud Clark's a guy that always, you know, he's a really nice guy. And he always thought, man, this guy's got a ton of potential here.
Soft-spoken, but he gets on that football field, and he's going to hit you into next week. And so that's one of those positions, too, that we've been highlighting, is that has been a battle throughout fall camp at free safety between Clark and D'Arco Perkins McAllister. And so it seems like Clark definitely has the advantage. He's been running with the first team more and more. And, you know, he's been impressing the coaching staff so far.
In addition to Coach Dykes, you had Wes Harris in the interview room as well. A guy who's battled injury time and time again. Do they take a look at that? Do they monitor that? What is the situation?
Yeah,
there?
He's in a pretty unique situation this year because they essentially have him on a pitch count in practice. So he's only going to get so many reps every day, and then after that he's on the sideline. He's doing some more rehab stuff. But he complimented the staff, saying that he's in a position now where he feels really healthy and really good for maybe the first time in his collegiate career. You know, he came back for his 6th year. He took his COVID year to come back and play this year. And he really has started to feel the effect of the new strength and conditioning staff and this pitch count. And, you know, he said pretty plainly today in his interview that the goal is for him to last all season. And this is the plan for them to get him to do that. All
right, finally, can you give me any insight into could you read body language or anything when it comes to Coach Dykes in the quarterback situation? We got Garrett Riley coming up.
Yeah, you know, I think Dykes said again today that it's back and forth, but, you know, you look at who's taking most first-team snaps lately. Chandler Morris has been leading the first team 3 out of the last 4 practices. Max did get first-team reps, though, in that scrimmage that nobody could see on Thursday, but, you know, we had some insight on that. You know, I really do think, though, that ultimately at this point the coaching staff just feels like the floor for that entire quarterback room has started to get higher and higher and higher, which is ultimately the goal no matter who is out there on the field.
Yeah, all 3 of them may, in fact, play. Thank you very much, James,
of course,
for being here today. Coming up next, Garrett Riley is going to join us, the Frogs quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. He'll be here at the Morris practice fields. We'll get his take on the quarterback situation. Frogs Today Daily continues in a moment.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
Practice number 10, as we mentioned earlier today here at the Morris practice fields. Welcome back into Frogs Today Daily, presented by our friends at Dave's Hot Chicken. Our friend Lincoln Riley's brother, I should say, Garrett. We were talking about Lincoln earlier and what he's going through. And Garrett, you guys, I asked you, hey, have you called Lincoln and talked to him? You said no time for that right now, huh?
No time at all. Yeah, we kind of know each other's schedule right now, so not a lot of conversation between us at the moment.
You're a little bit busy out there, and you got 10 in, so you're in double digits, Garrett. Give me some sense as to how it stands right now, how you feel about implementing the offense, you know, because it feels like they picked it up pretty good from spring.
Yeah, they picked it up, and right now we're just really, you know, just progressing. And you're able to kind of add a few things here and there where it kind of gives us some different wrinkles and things of that nature. And now all of a sudden you can, because we've done it kind of so much up to this point, you're able to utilize some other players or maybe they're doing something that they weren't doing in the base way of doing things. And so you're kind of seeing that right now of guys kind of mix and matching and getting some matchup, matchups for us offensively. So that's what's been fun, kind of moving the pieces a little bit, in different personnel groupings. So that's kind of where we're at right now. You get to experiment a little bit, still kind of the timing that we're in fall camp right now. You still got some experimentation period for a few more days, and then, you really got to start kind of dwindling it down to who your guys are.
I'm sensing a theme here, and I'm going to use the word versatility, because when we talk to A.J. Ricker and he talks about his offensive line, he wants guys that can kind of be interchangeable parts. When we talk to Malcolm and Meach about those two wide receiving rooms, obviously you want those guys to be able to play almost any position that they need to. And you're saying virtually the same thing there, that, hey, we want to be able to interchange and move guys around if necessary.
Yeah, I mean, the more you can do that, the faster you can play. It develops other guys for when people do get injured or you have some roster shakeup, those guys can go in there and make plays. And so that versatility, I think, just makes you a much more well-rounded team. And when you really go through the course of a season, things are going to happen with our roster. And so you're going to have to find ways to get – for us, it's ultimately who are those best 11 guys that give us the best, opportunity to go in and be successful. And so that's just a big part of what we do offensively as a whole.
Another thing that you've talked about from the beginning when you got here, Garrett, was the fact that you do what you do. This offense will be what it is. There'll be wrinkles off of different looks and things of that nature, but you want to zone in and focus on being masters of your offense, right?
No question. I think just when it gets down to it, when players are confident within of what they're doing, then their DNA takes over, right? Their preparation, the things that they've done over and over and over again really sets in, and I just think that's what we want. We want our guys to be really, really confident. We've got athletes on the field. We feel like we've got a good group of guys that, like I've said before, we've got a lot of guys that have played, right, that have experience, and so we just want those guys to really utilize that and really play confidently, and I think we'll be okay.
We watched the video yesterday as a group. We were watching a video on Sean Payton, and one of the things that he said is players have to believe that their script, that their scheme is the best going. We got the best stuff, and if your players believe you got the best stuff, they play at a totally different level.
Yeah. I mean, and just probably echoing what he's saying is they're confident in what they do.
Yeah.
They have a belief in the system, and you know what? We got to attack whatever defense we're playing. I mean, of course, but at the end of the day, it's who cares if they know it's coming. Let's just go out and execute them.
Yeah.
So that's just the mentality we got to take on.
You've walked into a couple of different programs to where you've had to instill, an offensive culture or things of that nature. But when you walked in here at TCU, and now you've seen them through the spring and 10 days into the fall, give me some sense of the talent level that you walk into.
Yeah, I mean, just the biggest thing is I think, up front is kind of the biggest difference for me walking into this situation is I do feel like we've got a really good group up there, some talented guys, and I think we have some depth there that, everybody wants in football. I don't care if you're high school, college, or the NFL. Everybody wants the depth there up front, and I feel like we got a shot to have that.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. And then the thing now that I noticed when we walked in, but now being here a minute and really seeing us go through spring, summer, and now up to this point, I just feel like our best players, some of the most athletic guys we have on offense, are some of our best kids. And that just – seriously, it doesn't happen very often, but I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now.
Give us some sense. You're 10 days into fall now. When will you start game planning? When will you start implementing a plan for Colorado?
Yeah, I mean, about 2 weeks prior to that game, we'll start kind of sprinkling it in, and our players probably won't even know. It's not like we're going to be talking about Colorado at that point, but
right.
We may be sprinkling some things in that we know we're going to do when we face them. Yep.
Are there defenses in the Big 12 that you kind of look at down the road that do things differently that you may start even early here in what we would call fall camp, just giving them a look so they can see, hey, you might not see this until week 7 or 8. But this is what we do against this.
Yeah, that'll be more. I mean, we've got a bye week early in our season this year, so that's kind of some bye week stuff that you can kind of get a little head start on. But for us, we try and stay in the present as much as possible. Now, we've kind of done our homework as coaches over the summer to get ahead. as much as you can in the summer, just like everybody else in the country. But with our players, it's probably that bye week. But other than that, it's just stay in the present.
It's a little different on the offensive side ball too, and like if you were a defensive coordinator and you knew you were playing Air Force in the weekend, you might throw a little bit of that in.
Yeah, they're throwing that in every Sunday practice, and weekly. That's getting reps for sure.
All right, give us an update on the quarterback situation. I know you get asked that way too many times, but I mean, it looks like all of them are producing, and I love the package with Sam Jackson out there as well. Give us some sense of what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, those guys just continue to improve. You know, I don't feel like we've taken a step back up to this point, which is positive with all those guys, no matter who they're playing with. Excuse me. You know, they're rotating in with a lot of different people around them.
Right.
And so that's always a little bit tough as a quarterback. You want to kind of settle in with your guys and get in a groove. So that is a tough situation for those guys, and that's by design. That's on purpose. You know, but Max, I think, done a nice job of continuing to get better here. He's starting to make quicker decisions in the passing game. And, you know, obviously in practice it's hard to notice, but when that dude tucks it and runs, he's a force, as we all know. Yeah. So, you know, I think he's definitely improved. Chandler's continued to make some quick decisions and be accurate. And you know, I think he's steadily gotten better as well with his reps. You know, then, we've kind of been able to experiment a little with Sam and all the things that he brings, but just even without that, just in the quarterback position, he's definitely improved from the spring. So that's been a great sign for a young guy like him. You know, and then Josh Hoover.
Yeah,
you know,
made a couple plays today.
Kid we signed, came here early, tough situation typically for a quarterback that comes in early to make that transition. And, you know, he's definitely improved here in a short period of time, and so I've been impressed with him as well.
You have a magic date in your head where you got to go, man. Here's a drop dead date. I got to have it determined by this.
You want to know, you know, obviously going into that Colorado week, and it's just the biggest thing is how you rep them, right? You got to be mindful of that and give those guys the appropriate reps and give them the best opportunity to get better. And here we go. So I mean, ultimately by then you'd like to have a great sense of it, but. You know, before that, no certain date.
All right, hope you get some time with the wife and kiddos today, man. It's Saturday.
I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Garrett, for coming
man.
by.
Thank you.
Garrett Riley, the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator here for the Horned Frogs. More to come, including a look at the preparation this team did to protect themselves from injuries. We'll do that as Frogs Today Daily continues in a moment.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
Now we got our own coach, David Beaudin, alongside here on Frogs Today Daily. Before we get into all this mess, what do I read into what Garrett Riley said about the quarterback situation? He led with Max. He talked about Max improving. What do I read into this?
Well, I think, you know, going into this, because Max has been the guy that's been around here, I think they wanted to give him ample opportunity to be the guy, right? You know, they're obviously evaluating it, you know, constantly on a daily basis, but I think that's it. It's funny, Coach Sonny Dykes, you know, as you heard there earlier, just started talking about, hey, look, why don't we Steve Spurrier years ago just ran a guy out there every other play. He's like, yeah, maybe we'll do that. You know, of course, said it in jest, but there's something to the fact that I think these guys are going to be used, all 3 of them, at some level. I know we keep saying it. So listening to Coach Riley, I think he knows he's got a room and they all get along, and so I think he's going to maximize that by using all of them. Now, doesn't mean there's not going to be a starter named, but I think it's a little easier for the guy number 2, knowing that he's going to see the field this year.
All right, Garrett Riley was also talking about the fact that he's got moving parts. He can move folks around on this offense to get his best 11 out there. Some of that is because of depth, which is a result of this team is fairly healthy, are they not?
Yeah, they sure are, and I think that's really intentional. You know, this is the time of year, if you look at old school football camp, where bodies start breaking down, right? I know a year ago they changed practices. They went from 21 down to for contact practice, 21 down to 18. They limited it to 75 minutes. But honestly, all that stuff was happening anyhow. I mean, we're you know, it's been well documented now for years, and so that part of it is not any different. But I will say, you know, with the cold tubs immediately after practice, they're jumping in there. The attention to detail in nutrition and making sure, and hydration, and you know, getting into guys, if you go to the training table, they've got where they got to gain weight and lose weight, and if they lost water weight, I mean, all those things are meticulously being combed over. I mean, they've even got a full-time yoga instructor taking care of people in terms of pliability and flexibility, and of course, you know, that prevents injury, and you've seen that out there by keeping everyone healthy.
Okay, now you're 10 in. I mean, you're 10 practices in. You got to be, if you're Sonny Dykes, you got to be fairly happy with where you are, aren't you?
No question. I mean, from a depth standpoint, they're starting to create that. They're starting to create some separation at some positions, but it's tough. And he noted that again today, just how tough it is because the twos, so to speak, are playing so well and staying healthy.
Yeah, you got guys trying to make that travel trip to Colorado, which, by the way, has a bigger number because you're not limited to the Big 12 number, so you can take a larger roster. But you guys fighting to get on the bus, don't you?
No question, yeah. And you saw a lot of that with special teams today. You know, guys just busting their tail to get down the field.
Yeah.
You saw running backs that you would normally see full speed on kickoff. Some really encouraging thing on special teams, trying to make that bus. You're right.
All right, practice number 10 here today at the Morris practice fields. Number 11's tomorrow. We'll be with you, even though it's a Sunday. We'll have another edition of Frogs Today Daily, brought to you by our friends at Dave's Hot Chicken. A big thank you to our entire crew who helped make this possible. Thank you to Garrett Riley for stopping by, Wes Harris, and of course you had also the head coach Sonny Dykes in the interview room. For Jamie Plunkett and Coach David Beaudin, I'm Brian Estridge. This was harder than you think, folks, but we got through it. Lunch is next on Jay. See you later.
Frogs Today Daily, presented by Dave's Hot Chicken, is a production of Roxo Media House. Roxo Media House.